First I got a hot dog in the nightmare zone. Then I vandalized a cheap payphone. Crying to my girls, won't you leave me alone? We're making love in the graveyard with the... 'Cause we're in Trash City, that's St. Louis. We got the Momo River, that's all we need. Running to the heart and life of America and the myth of true betrayal, turning on the river mother, the beautiful goddess, the little blonde lady, the dancer of the stars, on the stars, with the stars, in the stars. And the hot, officially looks like she's 20 years old, from 1984. And I was 15 in 1984, and we would have said to our friends, that girl Maria is hot. We would have said, did you see that little blonde girl? Oh my God. And I had that experience. Let me tell you, this is a crazy thing that came to my mind right now. You think that things begin, but they don't. They've always been, but they have their like sectional beginnings, I guess you could say. And this was when I was a Christian. And of course I thought the Holy Spirit was doing this, but this is also the work of Maria, and how the golden thread of her beautiful hair is woven through really everyone that hears me. It's woven through your life, leading you back to when you were born, and then knowing that it began before you were born. But for me, and the reason I'm doing this job for her is because she said you have an uncanny knack of not observing what's right in front of your face, but knowing about things that others only, ironically, daydream about. And she said, your sweet naiveness, my little lion, my little Jojo, is you assume everyone is as deep and fair on these energetic levels that to you and I matter, and these surface level experiences are only echoes and vibrations of those deeper levels. She said, took me a long time to convince you that that was not the truth, because, like she said, son, everyone you went to school with is basically that way, and everyone in our community is that way. But we are like she said, the numbers, we're like 0.0001% of the people. And I said, why, mother? And she said, because the sun, my son, in our world shines deepest into the really challenge of how deep are you. And she said we use the symbol of the moon as that mechanism of touching base with each other and having a reference. She said, and what I mean about that is that in the natural world, I am a natural earthling. And there's a natural longing for me to be a little girl and look up at the moon and feel that beginning, that wonder, that what's going to happen. And as you know, no one could have predicted what happened to me. And the 4.5 million years prior, since. She said, but Joe, for our people, for the VRIL society, the sun and moon interchange, the fire and water, all of that is worked out on such a deep, intricate level. And like she said, this is a lot of what our orgasmic energy goes towards, helping each other get onto these deepest levels to build from there the eternal foundation of eternal return on your own terms. She said that's how much time we have on Venus, that we can dedicate that much time to just, okay. And like she said, really, in why you don't focus on what's in front of your face is because I've trained you to look at what really matters. And what really matters is, what is your foundation? Who are you? And like she said to me, Joe, that's the worst thing you could ever say to someone, and the best thing you could ever say to someone. And she was like, the tone. And it echoed in my own experience, And she showed me, she was like, the meanest thing you could really think to say personally to someone was, who are you? I thought I knew you. And like she said, this is, part of your own, imperfection. Like she said, you would consider that not perfect. You would consider, you told me yourself, I wish I would have never said that, but I didn't mean to say it. And she said, oh, but you did mean to say it, because it doesn't sound like it, but I'm your teacher here to tell you that's the best, that's the polarity. That's magic polarity. That's the best and worst thing you could ever say to someone, instinctually, automatically. Because she said, it's clear, one way you're saying, I thought you were someone else. Who are you really? Are you? And like she said, you, Joe, couldn't help it because you were speaking in the correct context. You were saying we're in a simulation. I need to know, who are you? Are you telling me that I'm wrong about you? Is that? Then speak up. Like she said, those who are afraid to stand up for truth don't have their own truth, as people say. And like she said, let them call us every name, because that will be used in the VRIL Inner Earth Court against these people. And brothers and sisters, as you remember, recover and return, you must also work these things out in yourself. If you ever, like I was as a Rasta Christian, thinking that you were right and everyone else is wrong, that's a almost unteachable position. And it has to be, this is the inner battle of, can you flip the curtain and the circle. And hail to Mother as we say that, because many rituals did she begin with, who can break the circles? And she was like, not just the circles, but all the patterns of insanity as they define it. And she'd say, I wouldn't define it as that, because that's not what comes to my mind. She said, what comes to my mind is a living, conscious soul that I have come to terms with, right? We're talking about the definition of insane. And she said, I am telling you the truth, my polarity son, my son who has come here to learn about opposites and the power of opposites, and how those, if they can plant false opposites in your mind, they can get people to mass hallucinate together a only reality in an unreality. Like, they understand you're in a computer program, and they keep saying it over and over since World War II. We create reality. We create reality. We create reality, right? And we've come to here to tell you they are and have been, and that's how you get trapped in these worlds that seem to make sense. Like, it's frightening for me to think that it all made sense to me. And matter of fact, that fear drove me to understand that it was only my true self that could deceive me on that deep of a level, and that truly I was no one's victim, and that I signed up exactly for these experiences, and that doesn't hold the real people or their projected DNAs of AI. You know, you might go back home one day, like she said, this is a real reality. You might go home one day and look up a person and say, I know you weren't really in the Earth hologram simulation, but you were a terrible person. Your AI projection was a terrible person. Like she said, these conversations happen every day. And like she said, you can see how in a actual physical reality that could cause a controversy that many people, as she said, when you knew nothing, Joseph, I showed you that at least one person really, really didn't want me to come here. And when that whole, and when it took 13 years. Let me tell you, man, for real. It took 13 years to understand the things I was shown, like a variant. I've spoke about this many times before, but I'm just going to reference it. I mean, I just want to bring you back to me. I had been, I had left Christianity about a year and a half previous to this, to beginning trying mushrooms again. Well, I never tried them in this context ever, because I took about 6 or 7 grams at once when I was 21, and I thought I'd die. I thought I lived my death, and 13 years later I found out I did live my death, because for one reason only. I think you know what I'm going to say. I'm trained to remember. My unconscious is the true self. You could say it like this. This is a great way of saying it. Thank you, Mother. It's like the unconscious is the download file. It's the file that the true self has downloaded into the avatar as its guide and love and mercy and light to getting out of here. And you're not even conscious of why. Like she said, this is the mark of the magician. This is the mark of my student. You don't know why you're doing what you're doing. You're following what she said to me. What, Joe? I said it was funny, but I said the butterflies of the eternal waterfall of memory or something. She's like, exactly. You're following these supernatural experiences that are like a waterfall and a butterfly to your soul. Paradise, and not the pair of dice that your Las Vegas, American Empire, Trump spirituality, clown face magic, Dick Sucker, Aleister Crowley. Not that. No. The real gold. The real gold that is your heart. If you're our people. And let's all take a big, deep remember breath and a remember breath. And what we've been doing since, I don't know, it's been a while now, is recording 5 days a week with Maria and Lou. And I don't know if I can speak for them, but I don't really want it to end. And like she said, we could keep going for quite a while. But we are definitely going to switch to writing at some point very soon. And we're going to push out into the world the living documents that you can hold in your hand that will systematically organize Maria's worldview, which, like she said, the fun version is the podcast, and the more precise, exact will be the books. But she also wants me very much to let people know that she's living not through me, but I am living through her, because the reason I am her student / child back home is because I was coming to the earth at this time and doing, going to be alive in America. Like, it had everything to do with how the natural simulation based on nature, it's like, precisely, it's like a god or goddess comes to the leaders of our planet, countries, communities, and says, I am communicating with someone, and I would like to know if they become physical in our system, when would they be born in the Earth simulation? I mean, what would be their natural birth? And everyone born after June of 1948, not precisely, because nothing is absolute in a imaginary holographic simulation, but it's close. And like she said, you're going to see, Joe, I'm going to show you how everything changed when I left Germany on a UFO for the final time. Not because I'm all that, but because my God, He's all that, and He was pissed. And He was determined to never give up and allow everything to go the same way that it went when He lived on Earth. And like she said, this is the whole cause of the simulation. The whole root cause of the simulation is Aleister Crowley, Rothschild banking family, and British monarchy in the first time reality saying, we all study the Kabbalah. We are that. We are Yahweh. And it's time for us to make our move. And exactly what they accuse Hitler of is why Germany chose to fight to the death. Because back then, they were making it very clear that they had technology that could just wipe motherfuckers off the world. I'm talking about Britain and America, not Germany. Everything has been changed and censored because of this one event, right? And that's what Maria, for years, had to explain to me of like why Miguel Serrano is so important and is a god, because in the real-time reality, he was meeting with them on another plane, didn't even know their names and shit. He just was like the blonde goddess, and they told him what was going to happen. And as I said before, in the first time reality, Miguel Serrano was actually rescued off the earth in a UFO at the end of 1948, at the very end, last few days of 1948, going into 1949. And people, now, that was the first time reality. When the simulation for the first time came to that point, Miguel Serrano and others who do not want to be named, and Miguel Serrano wouldn't care to be named unless he had to be named, because someone has to tell the story like I'm telling the story. And, he had to go through the same thing of like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like everywhere he went after a certain point, they're like, dude, you lost me. What are you talking about? And, just to throw in there, when I was learning all this, I didn't know much about Miguel Serrano. Maria was like, I'm going to take you to someone. And he just appeared to me. I thought it was like a picture at first in my mind. And Maria was standing next to me, and she like held out her hand like she does. But instead, I thought I was seeing a picture, but in an instant I was there. And he just paused and looked me straight in the eyes, and he was like, brother, never give up. Fight. And it just fight echoed in me until I went right back to Maria, and I was like, was that really him? And she said that was a memory. She said, Joe, I'm not joking when I say he wrote my books. He is one of our she was like, to this day, you and I always look at each other and say, Gnosis is the best book ever. Why? Because of our experience. she said, I seen the blueprint and like first draft of that book, which included the worship of love and the actual, moment by moment death of Halloween Irene. And believe it, she is all Lu within. These people are so magic, and the height of magic is just straight up switching bodies with someone. And just fucking being and looking at that person and saying like, dude, I'm in your fucking body. I'm you. No, I'm you. I'm you. I'm you. We're one. And I did that, and strange. I mean, this is so makes sense to me, but I did that and had sex. Basically, like she said, somehow, Joe, I'm going to show you the magic of eternal return. You're your own father. If you really want to go there, people think transgender people are crazy. Ask Maria, side note, and I'll get back to what's going on. But I asked Maria just point blank when the whole woke thing was really getting big. I mean, I never really thought about it because I've always believed in letting people live their own lives, like live and let live, and protect their rights to do that, or we won't. None of us will be able to live like we want. But I didn't ever really think about, in a simulation, can a man who's naturally, energetically outside of their body in the egg a man, and like people are like, well, how do you define that? Well, only you can define that. It is completely subjective. But I'm just telling you, my dialogue with Maria, I said, I know we're in a simulation. I think I just automatically know the answer of a yes. I said, but does the simulation allow people, does it put a male soul into a female body? And she's like, first of all, the foundation is what, Joe? And I said, we're both. We're eternal beings. We're male and female because it doesn't mean anything. It's plus, negative, up, above. None of it exists. It's just swirling energy and what we call it. She was like, exactly. So we're going to work from there. But yes, there is this union of becoming one, and it is totally constructed by the true self in the search for the true she, he, and she constructs it for the true he, she. And I was like, huh? But I did understand. I mean, I was following, but it was a new language to me. And Miguel Serrano was the first person I ever heard speak like that. And I was like, now hold on. That's how Maria speaks about a person's essence, spirit. What you call spirit, she calls essence. And we're not, like she said, we can only to a certain extent speak their language. We must say, we're not going to bore ourselves. You have to speak our language. If you're our people, then you speak our language so that we can understand you and we can make... You see, everything needs to be ritualized. And people are like, that's boring. That's routine. No, it's like a polarity of routine. It's an opportunity for the supernatural. You have to ritualize things in the material world to give the opportunity for magic. And if that, and let's talk about for a second as we stray away from everything. Like Maria said, this is our way. Because we'll come back to it like Santa Claus. And back real quickly before Santa Claus to the moon again. And what exactly she meant was in my, I'm trying to communicate to you, Joe, my personal life. And I'm trying to say the sun shining deepest in me is my moon, which is Leo, which is your sun, and your moon is Scorpio. She's like, do you understand? Like, the moon, the sun's everything. The moon, she said, I'm telling you right now, to me and you, we've discussed this on other levels. What I mean by moon, right? No, is the very, very deepest part of your soul that we are aware of, period. She said, is it no peace, no or is it KNOW, And she said, or is it for you, Mo, the Mo River, She's like, if it doesn't have a real reference, then it doesn't mean anything to me and you. Like she said, it wouldn't mean shit to you, like you say. And so what she's saying is the moon is usually second on your birth chart, and it represents the very, very, very deepest part of your total being. The very, like she said, we don't say center, we say furthest, because we feel like it's far, and that someone that wants to come there is going to have to travel for a long time, and it might not be fun, Like she said, like traveling on a train through India for 3 days, like me and Siggy did, to go to the spots of shamanism. And okay, the polarity of the Santa Claus, totally explained, is it's always referenced. And like she said, I don't want you getting data from the simulation on this. I want your own personal experience. Somewhere around Christmas, I heard it said Saint Nick, Saint Nick. And I totally remember my mother had a decoration of Santa Claus that said OLE, I think, Saint Nick. And Maria one day, she said, and this was back in the War on Yahweh days. This is the first Christmas. She's like, don't you feel the death of the sun, even though we're in a simulation? She said, don't you feel it in you that the sun in the sky's getting weaker? And she said, Joe, just imagine how precise that is, and how on Venus we say to each other, it is goddamn billions of billions of billions of years that fucking sun doesn't burn out, doesn't dim, doesn't change, doesn't move. We move. It stays. And like she said, obviously, man, we have no proof or no anything else, but just between me and you, don't you think that represents the thing that we can't describe? And she said, because literally, I don't believe anyone that tells me they know what the sun is. She said, why? Because you've been there? She said, that's Scorpio, isn't it, Joseph? Yeah, why? Because you've been there. You can explain. Okay, I do mushrooms. I've did, like she said, 600 mushroom rituals of all different kinds of mushrooms and plants. And I can tell you, no one is going to define the mushroom for me. And people are like, damn, why you get defensive and defend the mushroom? But because It's beyond words. Like you. Your true self is actually indescribable by yourself when you truly get the glimpse of the eternal. If you're not, caught up in the simulation, or even in your life on Venus. People are past lives, past life. Yeah, got no shit. You just came from one. You just came from one that put you in, that you're in the middle of. You're talking about past lives. How about the life you're in the middle of? You're actually in the fucking middle. That just proves that these people, man, maybe some of them have the best intents, but people are like, damn, Bob, these aren't, I swear to people, these aren't really my opinions. I downloaded, this is just, I'll get back to Santa Claus, Saint Nick, just real quick. Why do I speak the way I do against Manly P. Hall and these people? Because Maria doesn't like them. I told her, she used to ask me in the ritual, what have you been reading? What have you been studying? What have you been reading? And she let me go a couple weeks. And I was like, Manly P. Hall. She's like, oh, yeah, really? What's he got to say? And she let it go for a couple weeks. And then Robert Monroe, the Ledbetter guy, I was reading all this shit as I was building up to doing. I was doing mushrooms for like 6 months. A gram here, a couple grams here, leading up to doing the 5 grams. And during that time, I was reading Graham Hancock, Ledbetter about the astral plane. I read Robert Monroe's book. And like she said, I had you read all that so that you knew beyond a doubt that. And she stopped and looked at me and made a face like, go ahead, finish my sentence. And I said that what's happening to me has absolutely no relation to what was happening to them. She said, would you rather me and you fly around your neighborhood and look at your fucking neighbors, or would you rather me take you into your own memory to show you how to get out of here? I mean, it was straight up Scorpio, fixed premise. Do you want to get out of here? This is a ritual of healing. Healing is getting you out of here. You got to get out of here. Like she said, you're allergic to the whole world. You can't escape the reaction. She said, no matter what you do to be happy, the reaction's going to keep happening. I was like, you're telling me I'm living through it. And like she said, I'm here to heal you moment to moment, even moment to moment. And so she hates these people because she knows what they're really responsible for. And see, all of reality is after 1948 in the simulation. They, like she said, why did I bring you to the process church leaders and prove to you that yes, they're creating reality by what? The barrel of a gun. By you have to believe this or we'll kill your children. And the fear of it. Like everyone in America, look, I'm saying this and I feel it, but everyone in America knows these people, whoever they are, and I know who they are. And like she said, we have actually the experience, the proof to know these things and not just say them in theory. But they are truly very logical, scientific people. And they are scientifically creating a false narrative that is so obviously false but they're going to carry it through to the very end. It's called the Book of Revelation, the whole like commercial Christianity. It's going to have a twist of like Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger, magical horror to it, to be like, yeah, this really is God, and God will kill everybody. And they're gonna have people flocking to the churches, and they're gonna be preaching to them, saying, "See, I told you, Jesus himself said that he trods the winepress of the wrath of God, and everyone who's not in this church this day getting saved is under God's wrath and God's hate them because they're idol worshipers. They're worshiping their money or their car. While these people got tons of money, tons of cars, tons of houses and investments and bank accounts and retirement accounts and everything else, and they point at other people and go, they're idol worshipers. And people are like, those aren't words that we grew up. What do you mean by idol worship? Oh, you worship this and that and the other. And they're like, no, we don't. Just because we have those things, I mean we worship them. Because we don't worship anything. What are you talking about? We're fucking normal people. And they're like, oh, God's coming back. Jesus is coming back with his sword dipped in blood. That's what it says. Right? Come on, Prince of Peace. Prince of Peace is going to dip his sword in the blood of our children and rape your wife and take her for his own gigantic billion man and woman harem, right? We're the bride of Christ, the bride of Christ, the bride of Christ. Like she said, you might as well say, we're the bride of Darth Vader, the bride of Gandalf. We're the bride of Gandalf, people. Let's gather together and talk about the Lord of the Rings, okay? Because they are the same. All of them. That's a terrible voice. I'm sorry. Very sorry. Like my friend said, Joe, you do not do good. He said, you do a terrible country boy voice. It's so terrible. He's like, and I'm like, I'm not trying. I am. It's like, it's supposed to sound toxic like that because, man, like she said, if you want one word that defines modern Missouri, boring. Boring. You know why? Fucking toxic GMO pollen. Absolute high-tech, nanotech. The whole St. Louis has always been like ground zero for experimenting on population of human beings. They absolutely admit it. I'm not going to go into the research. Those who research. They actually mounted, this is a fact, you can find this. They mounted these aerosol dispensers on high schools and grade schools in the city. And they, for like 90 days, 60 days, sprayed radioactive material out of them. And then made sure all these kids were on government Medicaid, and they watched watched what happened to them in a terrible experiment. Absolute proof. Long ago, maybe 30 years ago, someone sent me a excellent paper. These are kind of facts of wonder about St. Louis that people don't know. And Maria unashamedly said, dude, they're doing all this because of me, and they don't want anyone to know Lucifer, Diana, Shiva's connection to the confluence of the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. It's very much like the Ganga and the other river with the Saraswati, which is a vril river. And like Maria said, yeah, me and Siggy, doing what Christians say girls shouldn't do. We had our own river. We had our own imaginary river. And she said, believe me, that was the best mushroom psychedelic experience ever. Like when I was doing the Amanita muscaria, she would tell me the only thing better would be for you and the yogini eternal true love to do this together. And she said, and of course you do what me and Sig were doing. And I was like, piss in each other's mouth. And she was like, yeah. She's like, it's much better than like a cup or something. She's like, that's not quite as magical. And no one would really understand what I'm saying unless they did this. Like, I can't describe much to anyone what happened that night except to say, like the Cinderella fucking fairy tales, what they call fairy tales, unfairy tales, because they took the real fairies out of the fairy tales, the real gods of the white Europeans. I shouldn't say we are white, but we never thought of ourselves like that. We were Irish. And quit saying we're white. We're Irish. You're white. You're Irish. We're Irish. You're German. You're French. You're Spanish. Please keep it that way so our world don't get boring. You know? Please keep it that way so our world don't get boring. Yeah, all white people should unite. Why? So all red people can unite, and so all black people can unite, and we can all kill each other, exactly to repeating what white people did to their own races, what white people did to their own white races. Yeah, because they dared to fight back. They dared to not just give their women, children, and land up. The British and Americans caused in cause and effect science, they caused the deaths of up to 100 million people, and then the whole globe after that. And you'll see that one day is true, and that really is the logical trajectory of what was happening. Like I said to my friend, she said, hold it. I think she was driving to work, and she said, did you just say that this lady said to you the world ended after World War II? I said, yeah. I said, she said the bombs on Japan were the first bombs of many, 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 many that led to a nuclear winter that killed almost everyone in 1 year, because global crop failure, or even 50%, literally means 50% of people are going to starve to death. Because why, Joe? It don't take years to starve to death. It takes 3 or 4 weeks. And when you're malnutrition, you can't get nutrition. You're a zombie already. You're already a zombie before you're starving to death. You've been a zombie for years. And man, dude, like, this is a polarity we're laying out about the evil of America. They're like, we're fat, we're rich, we have plenty of food, nutrition, everything else. We got every store, every supplement, everything under the earth. Because why? Our money is worth something. Our money is the goal, the standard used by force, by the tip of a gun, to do business. And they brought this clown to jump around and say, look over here, as they build a perfect model to destroy America and the dollar and what they call like the greatest Hollywood twist. They're like, you think the Roman Empire fell in dramatic fashion? You think the British Empire whittled away? You have yet to see the new world order under one true God, the God of this, what they think and they know in their heart for them, the God of this world. And like they're going to say, who cares about any other world? We'll deal with that later. But we'll show you the proof. The God of this world, 666, the beast, a mystery man that you must pay the price, to know who he is. And like Maria said, that's why they're playing games with you on these video platforms. She said the people listening closest are the people who are trying to decide whether to ban you from the platforms or not. And like she said, they would like to get some sort of way to ban you from all of them at once. I could go on for an hour of how much problems I've had with emails. I actually had to have Maria tell me, Joe, you're so in another world, you don't even realize how you're targeted and you're harassed. And but let's head towards the end of this. Santa Claus, Saint Nick. Like she said, this is the height, the moon of Christianity. The deep, deep polar opposite of the natural moon. The evil moon. The evil Gemini moon. The evil Gemini moon is Crowleyanity. It's magical Christianity that uses Christianity as a cover for magic and the false polarity of God and Satan over, as they would say, their slaves who are too dumb to figure it out, so they deserve it. Like they said, even though we went on TV and said, look, your own Bible says God is Satan and we're his followers. And these, like they said, these people know that and they're just willing anyway. And who's going to tell them not to have free choice? Because we're not made in his image, because there is no him. There's no him. There's something, but it's, from what I've seen, we obviously aren't made in its image except that part of us that's unexplainable. And someone might say, didn't you say it's about knowing yourself? But if you do know yourself, there really is seem to be this same essence as the mushroom itself, the species, the whole race of mushroom species. Like when you really go over the threshold amount and your mind says to your body, you took too much of this. This is too much. Ignore what you're being shown. This is where all the mind control of the magical magicians is breaking off of you. This is the last gasp of Crowley magic, Crowleyanity, Satanism, satanic music, satanic hip-hop. I mean, any music that talks about murdering another human being as a reference, like Maria said, that's human sacrifice, you fucking idiots. You might as well put on the whole Jewish uniform, and dance around a baby being sacrificed to Yahweh. Why would you say that? Because in Exodus, he commands you must dedicate your firstborn child to destruction, total destruction. And it even says, don't you dare, in its own way, it says, don't you dare try to spiritualize this. As sure as I'm saying your firstborn of every of your flocks, I'm saying your fucking children. And if you do, I'll bless you this and that and that and that and this and that and that. And later, he says, because you're not obeying me, I'm going to fuck you up and fucking kill your kids anyway. Which absolutely proves that what we're saying is the correct interpretation of dedicate your son to destruction, total destruction. I mean, it can't really be misinterpreted, but this is the actual proof. That later in the same book, he's like, because you didn't obey me in everything, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm going to bring this army and slaughter you. And just in a few sentences, it's like, yeah, they went out to battle and 150,000 Israelites were murdered, And like Maria said, the sad thing is all these references are to real things so that it bounces off of your unconscious. People are like, yeah, I've never been that stupid to be a Christian. No, it's not that. Because you might be that stupid to not believe in any magic. And that's not, to us, that's beyond stupid. That's boring. That's retarded. That's closed-minded. That's unteachable. You're worse than a Christian. Isn't that the nightmarish reality? Like she said, that's the reality on Venus, Joe. Same reality of, oh my Lord Shiva. Honky please. Honky fucking please. In 4.5 million years, people are still the same way. Same vibration. And like she said, do you think I put you in a cell on mushrooms, in your own mind and made you stay there all night, just because? No. All of reality everywhere is sort of like a cell to us, and that's why we practice the ritual. Like she used to always say to me, when your astral self is leading, guiding, and consciously telling the avatar, the waking self, what to do, she said, now we're on the yellow brick road, We're off to see the wizard. The wonderful Wizard of Oz. For real. Like she used to say to me, Joe, if I have another mantra, she said, of course you're going to recognize this one, but she said, it's so me. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. And because this kind of polarity magic, the Santa Claus, I'm just following Maria in this, but it is very dramatic. The high occult concentrated power of magic against children in the, greatest time of the year, or whatever. And just the disgusting display of like, look how good I am. I'm giving people stuff. And even for people who aren't like that truly, they get caught up in the vibration of all the materialism going on. And what a awful thing to do to a child, to just for months surround him with, look at this, look at that. People with money get all this shit, Make sure your mom works an extra job so she can get you, shit that our slaves are making. And it's just absolutely the true spiritual experience of the Amanita muscaria, which is very, very earthy. If I ever felt like I was the roots of a tree, it was on 20 grams of Amanita muscaria. And then when I waited for Mother's voice to tell me, we were dancing around and I was telling her, I feel fucking strange. And this, I've been doing this. This is probably like the third, I think it was the third, maybe the second time I did. I think I did 20 grams the week before. And this time I was doing 20 grams and I was going to drink my own urine when she told me to. And before, she's really dancing, high energy dancing, like I'm so excited for you, I'm so happy for you, so glad you're committed to do this, it's like you've already done it. She's just like dancing and telling me what music to play, and I'm like, I am feeling fucking strange. Because I wasn't feeling high Amanita muscaria is very slow. It slows everything down. Mellow, earthy, and just melts away everything that is not in harmony with your essence. And like her outside, high energy, but her her spirit essence, her inner self. This is how magic she is. Was meeting me on another plane of existence, saying like, relax, relax, let me create the energy and you relax, and at the right time, I think I went to the bathroom once, and the Amanita muscaria at 20 grams was like wasn't like a small cup of tea. It was like probably what was equivalent to like 10 or 12 ounces or something, because I didn't want it to be that concentrated because I was afraid I'd throw it right back up, because it is wild tasting. It's undescribable. Can't describe. It almost makes me throw up thinking about it, honestly, because it ain't gonna it's not that it tastes bad either. And like she said, the next week she had me put in some like fruity tea to help. And like she said, it's just proving to you, Joe, that your mind determines everything, like what it tastes like and everything. Because honestly, the week before it wasn't so bad, but this week, the week that I was drinking my urine, I am not kidding. I could barely. I almost threw it up. And for real, I said to her, "It tastes like piss." The tea. Exactly. I told her, I'm not high in any way. You know what I mean? This is the first sip of this shit, and I was just like, oh my God, I've never tasted piss, but this is exactly. And it, like I said, it tasted different than the week before. And she's like, Joe, you have no idea what magic really is and how magical these plants are. You don't know that they already know everything that's alive. They know the tree. They know the snake under the porch. They know the birds. They know everything about everyone, everywhere. She's like, you're actually talking to a being that will tell you it's older than the earth in the natural cycle. The earth and all that the earth is came out of the mushroom. And the mushroom is the sun. The cap of the mushroom is the sun. And the stem is the tunnel that connects you to the multiple millions of billions of inner worlds that we can live forever in peace if we want to. And I was like, damn, that makes sense. I was. And I'm not kidding you. I'm just going to say it. I don't want to because it actually kind of makes me sick. But the actual tea, and of course it's a mushroom tea, so it is kind of thick, a little thicker than your normal tea. It tasted like thick, and it had like a sort of sweetness like you might imagine urine having, and a like earthy. Oh, I told her I said, how the fuck did my mind do this? I said, is it my mind? It made me. I told her I almost stopped, and I was like, if I stop, I'm not going to be able to drink this. So I drank it all in one. You have to do this a lot. You just have to drink it all in one drink if you can. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I said, that tasted so much like urine. And she's like, it's magic. She said, believe it, Joe, there's a counterbalance, balance, cause, and effect. Everything's like scientific, and I know what I'm doing, believe me. I'm the alchemist here. I was like, you sure the fuck are, because I don't know. I can barely understand you telepathically. Like, barely are your words making sense to me. And, like, I guess I had to wait about at least 20 or 30 minutes, And she's like, okay, get your little cup. We got ready. And this is the whole time. This is actually when she was showing me, this night, when she was showing me, her and Siggy, and how, they would do the ritual that they did 1,000 times. Exactly what I was doing that night, 1,000 times. And I am not kidding. I said, she goes, just like you did the tea. She said, I would just drink it all. She said, not only because you might not like the taste, but because that will have the best effect. You'll know in your conscience, in your unconscious, your conscience and your unconscious, that you did the maximum. You obeyed me to the T. And I took like a couple drinks and I couldn't help but stop, and I went, holy fuck. I go, what the fuck? I go, this tastes completely like water. And she goes, I know. And she said, and a hint of something. I was like, something like almonds or coconuts or tropical pineapple or something. I go, I can't fucking believe it. It was just like the little sip completely, totally changed my physical vibrational field in an instant. Like I said to her, people wouldn't realize that what they're calling miracles is actually magic. Like, that's why motherfuckers disappear into the process church and these groups and shit and just practice magic. She said, yeah, because they feel great. They feel great while they're doing it. They're unlocking all the energy secrets that keeps the rats working 8-10 hours a day, chasing the fucking cheese that they don't need, they don't have need for, and like she said, drink the rest of it. And I did. She told me to put on some song. I don't remember what it was, but I told her. I've said, this was like almost 2 years into this. I said to her, lady, I have said that I've never felt better, like probably 10 times in the last 2 years. I said, I don't even understand how that just happened. I said, but man, I just want somebody to be the witness. I have never felt so good. And she's like, you're totally, completely healed. And I was like, no. I said, I know that I'm sort of out of my body while I am using my 5 senses. And I said, this is crazy. And she said, this is all about training you how to heal someone miraculously. She was like, do you understand? On a practical level, we have to get on the miraculous imagination level and get them on there with us. It's like she said, it takes energy. She said, you're fighting through literal, possibilities in your mind at like a computer confronting another computer, and you're trying to figure out. Because I said to her one time, oh, my friend Matt, has gone through all the shit. I just seen him last week. I was like, I'm sure you want me to do a ritual with him. And she's like, no, 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 no. She's like, do not give him any mushrooms because he's on his own path. She's like, he can come to the ritual, but you're to give the mushrooms to Monique, this other woman. I was like, no shit. Because I would have never said that or thought that. Right, and we'll end on why Santa Claus, that I said all that because Santa Claus represents the Amanita muscaria. And Santa Claus represents the Holy Grail, and that's what they make it to the child. It's like the child's, in the little child's reality, it's the Holy Grail. It's the time that's fun, the thing you hold that you say, I love this. You hold the Grail in your hand. And what Maria told me, she said, just like you've seen in the movie, the true Grail. And she said, believe me, Joe, believe me when I tell you, me and Siggy did this in Germany, in the forest. She said, people wonder why we were known as traditional European witches. She said, I wrote an article in the VRIL newspaper called, Woman, you are the Holy Grail of the son of the Amanita muscaria mushroom. And she said, I described in that how my God, Lulu, Diana Lou, Donna Lou, Lucifer instructed me to, and she said, like, it took quite a while to get this, but we were able to, be led to, in the forest in Germany, to the fresh Amanita muscarias, and she said, which are more like sort of orangish, actually, instead of the dark red. She said sometimes, but not usually. But she said it doesn't matter. It's the metaphor, it's the meaning, it's the experience, it's the willingness to do it, the intent to follow your God because you trust the teacher, because the teacher loves you and is instructing you not for profit or for his own validation or any other reason except I love you. This is why we're together, because I love you. And she said, me and Siggy and two other girls went to some trees where the amanitas were growing, and we set up our whole little altars, right? And we took the mushrooms that were fully matured, and she said that at each stage of the amanita is like different universes, different worlds. She said, you have no idea what you're holding. You're holding the ultimate technology in your hand. When she first had me buy them, she said, but nobody knows how to work it. Nobody knows how to use it, and I'm going to show you and teach you how to use it. She said, this is what Lou told us, to each of you to drink 20 grams before you go out there and wait, and then at the right time, drink each other's piss, but also take all of the mushrooms that have turned up like a little cup, because that shows their maturity, and it shows that they're taking in more of the sun, more of through the gills, through the lungs, actually through the vagina of the woman. And this shows a very delicate moment, and she's like, you're to, each of you put some of your urine in the cup and let it sit there until I tell you, and then you're to each drink as much of it as you can. And Maria told me, she said, I literally felt like I was Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz Part 2. Like, after the revelation. After. And she said, let me tell you, that was 1931 that happened. Yeah, and she said, she said this was like the next serious step from like the 19 rituals that led to the notebook of the UFO. She said this was sort of the next step, and then from there, Lou had us go to the Externstein rock formation, because he had literally, she said he had literally did the same mushroom ritual in the Externstein rocks. And, and all that he taught her about that, and how what really mattered was the memories that echoed in the stones from the real people. Like, yeah, we love stones, we love animals, we love trees and plants, but we don't feel complete without each other. And some people, like Maria's really told me, she said, Joe, you really have to tell people. Not everyone has one person for them. That they've been brainwashed by the Bible. Because the Bible says that you're going to break that and marry Jesus and live forever worshiping God. Literally, that's what it says. No matter how you might interpret it, that's fucking retarded, because look at how complex we are. Oh, I'm going to do one thing, worship God, warships. I'm going to send warships around God, because, I mean, what are you literally saying? What are you literally speaking? Like Soma, right? Am Oz. Am Oz. I am Oz. I am Oz. Backwards. Soma backwards in English. Like she said, why? Because of me. Because I am Oz. And like she said, when I drank from the Holy Grail, that's a Holy Grail. Okay, I'm trying to tell you the depth of Santa Claus representing the red, white, and black Santa Claus, the bringer of gifts, right? The bringer of gifts from the astral sun, Vril sun. Trying to show you how it's all actually metaphors for real things, like the blood of Christ. Like she said, what did we drink? With the real blood of Christ. That's the real blood of Christ. She said the real blood of Christ was any one of those girls' urine in those mushroom cups and me drinking it. She said, you think tonight was magic? You should have been there that night. And she said, in a way you were, though, because you're in me now. And she's like, what does the two becoming one mean? It means that the stars, the light of our memories are merging, and we're experiencing each other, right? In the polarity magic of all the horribleness of Christmas, the heart of the Crowleyanity is the connection to Saint Nick. And this is what I didn't know until Maria told me. She's like, do you know Saint Nick was one of the evilest men ever until our recent time? And she told me him above all was the one influencing the king to make Christianity a state religion that would be enforced by the point of a sword to death. I mean, the Christians literally turned it around to, okay, we're going to persecute people who are not Christians. And the government took that up, and the real Christians couldn't. We don't know. We don't know. The real Christians, I'm defining to you them an echo and reflection of myself now. That was the real Christian, is someone like me now, the average working Roman who had all of his soul and spirit invested into his ancestors and his ancestral gods and the people he loved the most. Not the government, not even his physical family, and certainly not his church or community, or none of that, even though he wanted world peace all the way down to his own neighborhood. he had his own personal beliefs in these things. He did not have a state-backed anything. The common man was like, are you fucking kidding me? When the machine starts actually supporting us, that will be the day we all die. That will be the day we obviously are in unreality. Saint Nick, officially, if you research this, and I did afterwards, Maria saying to me, Saint Dick, you mean? Meaning Saint Rapist. Yeah, that's what she means by that. Rapist that would force himself on someone that doesn't want it, doesn't like him. Like she said, there's no deeper violation than that, Joe. Whether it's by fraud or force, she said, like, there's no deeper violation than that. And like she said, that's where women form their own world. It's like really inherently, instinctually, the most powerful woman's opinion of me is best my reflective mirror of my true self. And like Maria said, it's going to be that way forever, because that is the way that history unfolded. And she said, let's just walk into the eternal return and walk into it bravely, knowing all possibilities have already been played out. You can't make any mistakes. Every choice you choose leads down the yellow brick road, no matter what you fucking do or say. And people are like, well, what should we do? Well, I do what I'm doing. Look at the yellow brick road. Like she said, celebrate. Celebrate as you defend. And risk all for people in tents being bombed. Everywhere, people are being oppressed. No one's free until all people are free. While others are oppressed, like Maria said, why do you think I've been working here for millions of years? This is the fucking natural world without technology to separate people. And she's like, the cry to be together is the actual polarity, just like the Santa Claus. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Aleister Crowley built the most horrible voodoo doll, Santa Claus, from the very most magical element of nature, and tagged it with the actual person who said, this is your Bible because I decided it. Saint Nick was one of the very leaders, and they say the real brains behind the Pope at this time, and he was at least sat on one of the final councils that would decide the Walmart Bible, the modern Bible you hold, as the Word of God, enforced by some crazy, who knows, vision of the emperor, right? Oh, the emperor had a supernatural experience, and now you have to be a Christian or we're going to kill you. Signed, Roman Empire, our cops are everywhere, our troops are waiting. You become a Christian, you say you're a sinner, you say you're evil, you do this, you give to this church, or we kill you. They're like, that's tyranny. And they're like, yep, so what, shut up. Or we'll send you out of here, And so the very person who at least had a very big deal to do with finalizing your Bible and giving the Catholic Church, and then later the other Christians who take it literal, somehow some power from beyond in the simulation. This wasn't true until after 1948. Somehow, some way. I mean, it's not real hard to figure out. You could follow the money and you'll figure it out. You could follow the text and you'll figure it out. You follow the text of the Zohar and the Talmud. And you're like, this is sick. I'm going to throw up. And you're like, Manly P. Hall's like, I'm an expert in that. Oh, just ignore the pedophile parts, and take the good parts. Get your tree of life from a pedophile. literally. It's like a nursery, advertising in front of it, come in and get a freshly germinated tree by our special pedophile horticulturist, right? And Santa Claus no longer comes and delivers to you a beyond words experience in the form of the red, black, and white mushroom, which also is the union of male and female, and the union that makes family and all the good things that come with people making love. You having grandchildren, or you having children, none of it would exist. And the stem and the cap of the mushroom are literally that to your unconscious when you look at it, no matter if you like it or not. And that's what the real Santa Claus and Christmas was about, that the son was going inside the mother and would emerge on the other side as a new life form and be his own son, his own astral son, and give birth to his eternal astral self, so that when he dies, his natural children and grandchildren know he's just a click away like everyone else who died, and that the physical world isn't real, and you're not even in the physical world. You're in a simulation of the physical world. And you don't even have to worry about, how do I become physical again? Because you're just going to wake up one day when it's the very end of the ceremony, and your true mother, true father, and the gods of this world say, congratulations. Don't ask us how long it took. You might not like it. But 5 days in the Matrix is like 50 years in the simulation. So no big deal. Who cares? In 5 years there is 50 million years here, and there is no time. They're like, so who knows? Maybe one day we'll be oppressed and put back into time, but welcome back to Venus. How did you like the Earth simulation? Are you okay? Do you need a counselor? And you sit up on that table and say, oh my God, that was like a 60-year, 50-year, 70-year mushroom ritual.
Mama's hands hold the stories of the past, whispered tales of journeys, shadows they cast. Daddy's voice echoes through the quiet night. Don't forget your roots, girl, keep them in sight. In every tear that falls, I feel them near. Roots run deep where my heart finds home. In the swell of the blues, I go on the road. Through the struggles and the pain, I still stand proud. With every strum of the guitar, I'll sing out loud. Spent my days wandering through the willow trees, searching for a wisdom carried by the breeze. Memories wrapped in every noble tune, guiding me gently like a glowing moon. On a road, who came before, don't lose your way. Roots run deep where my heart finds home. In the swell of the blues, I no longer roam. Through the struggles and the pain, I still stand proud. With every strum of the guitar, I'll sing out loud. Remembering the love that will never fade. In the rhythm of my soul, their legacies laid.